Why is Iran being targeted today? Why do tensions in the Middle East so often lead back to Tehran? Is this about nuclear weapons, regional influence, or decades of unresolved political rivalry? To understand why Iran finds itself at the center of global tension, we must travel back in time. Because today's crisis did not begin yesterday. It was shaped by revolution, war, diplomacy, and power struggles stretching back nearly half a century. And to understand it clearly, we must begin with the region itself, a region of strategic importance. The Middle East has long been one of the most strategically significant regions in the world. It connects Asia, Europe, and Africa. It controls some of the most important maritime routes on Earth, including pathways through which global energy supplies travel daily. And beneath its deserts lie vast oil and gas reserves that fuel the modern world. Throughout modern history, major global powers have competed for influence in this region. Political alliances have shifted, wars have redrawn borders, governments have risen and fallen. At the center of many of these geopolitical developments stands Iran. Iran is not simply another Middle Eastern state. It is a civilization with thousands of years of history. Once the heart of the Persian Empire, it played a central role in shaping regional culture, trade, and governance. In the modern era, however, Iran's global role became increasingly connected to revolution, regional security competition, and strategic rivalry. To understand why Iran holds such a critical position today, we must step back to the 20th century. Pre-revolution Iran. Before 1979, Iran was governed by a monarchy under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The Shah maintained strong political and economic ties with the United States and several European nations. During the Cold War, Iran was considered a key Western ally in the region. The government pursued ambitious modernization programs. Industrial sectors expanded rapidly. Urban development accelerated. Educational institutions grew. Tehran began to resemble a rapidly modernizing global city. However, modernization also created deep social tensions. Political opposition was limited. Economic growth was not evenly distributed. Rural populations often felt excluded from urban progress. As oil revenues increased, expectations among citizens also grew. By the late 1970s, dissatisfaction had spread across different segments of society. Students, intellectuals, workers, and religious leaders expressed concerns about governance, political participation, and national direction. Public demonstrations gradually intensified, and by 1979, the political structure of the country was about to change permanently. The 1979 transformation. In 1979, the monarchy collapsed. Iran transitioned into an Islamic republic. This transformation was not merely a change of leadership. It represented a structural shift in governance, identity, and foreign policy orientation. The new leadership emphasized independence from global superpower influence. Relations with the United States deteriorated rapidly. Diplomatic ties were severed. Economic sanctions were introduced. Trust between governments eroded significantly. From that moment forward, Iran's foreign policy placed greater emphasis on strategic autonomy and regional self-reliance. This shift altered the political balance across the Middle East. It also redefined Iran's relationships with neighboring countries and Western powers. The events of 1979 became the foundation upon which modern Iranian foreign policy was built, and those decisions continue to influence regional dynamics today. Regional security and Israel. Another significant dimension of Iran's foreign policy emerged in its position toward Israel. Following the 1979 transformation, diplomatic relations between the two countries ended. Iran began supporting political and armed groups that opposed Israel's regional policies. Among them were Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. From Iran's perspective, this approach was framed as a regional resistance strategy. From Israel's perspective, it represented a growing and expanding security concern.
Over time, this dynamic evolved into a long-term strategic rivalry. Rather than direct conventional warfare, the competition unfolded indirectly through regional conflicts, intelligence operations, and political maneuvering. This rivalry remains one of the defining geopolitical tensions in the Middle East today. The Iraq War and shifting power balance. In 2003, the United States invaded Iraq. The removal of Saddam Hussein reshaped the regional balance of power. Iraq had previously served as a counterweight to Iran. After the invasion, Iraq's internal political structure changed significantly. Iran expanded diplomatic, political, and economic ties with various Iraqi actors. Its regional influence increased. This period marked Iran's emergence as a more assertive regional power. The nuclear issue and sanctions. One of the most debated aspects of Iran's modern history is its nuclear program. Iran states that its nuclear development is intended for civilian energy and research purposes. However, several Western governments argue that the technology could potentially be used for military capability. This disagreement led to international negotiations. Economic sanctions intensified over the years. Oil exports were restricted. Banking access became limited. Foreign investments decreased. The economic impact was substantial. Inflation rose. Currency value sharply fluctuated. Public economic pressure increased. Despite negotiations at various points, the issue remains unresolved. The nuclear question continues to shape relations between Iran and global powers. The Soleimani incident. In January 2020, a major escalation occurred. A U.S. drone strike killed Qasem Soleimani in Iraq. He was a senior military official with significant influence in regional strategy. The strike heightened tensions dramatically. Iran responded with missile strikes targeting U.S. military facilities in Iraq. For several days, global observers feared broader conflict. However, both sides avoided full-scale war. The incident illustrated how fragile the regional balance had become. Current dynamics and future outlook. Today, Iran remains a central actor in Middle Eastern geopolitics. It maintains alliances across several neighboring states. It has developed advanced missile and drone capabilities. At the same time, economic sanctions continue to influence domestic conditions. Relations with the United States remain complex. Rivalry with Israel persists in indirect forms. The future remains uncertain. Diplomatic negotiations could reduce tensions. Regional incidents could escalate them. What is clear is this: Iran's role in shaping the Middle East is significant and ongoing. This story is not about religion. It is about state policy, regional security, and global power competition. And as history continues to unfold, Iran will remain a key factor in the region's future.